Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Glassix Spotlight Show. As always, today we're setting the stage for a deep dive into the world of customer experience where business success is not just about meeting expectations, but exceeding them through strategic harmony. And there's no one better to guide us on this journey than Olga Potaptseva. Olga, a revered name in the CX field, heads ECC and CXpanda, making her presence felt globally as a top CX consultant. With a storied career that has influenced organizations across continents, Olga's approach is a masterclass in integrating leadership, technology, people and culture, CX management, and processes to achieve customer centric success. Her list of accolades includes monumental achievements like orchestrating over 100,000 British pounds in operational savings while simultaneously elevating customer satisfaction by 11% for a UK based insurer and spearheading process re-engineering that doubled conversion rates for a European bank. Quite impressive. Olga's strategies not only address immediate business needs, but also lay down robust roadmaps for sustainable customer focused growth. But Olga's vision extends beyond immediate metrics. She's a pioneer in operationalizing customer centric education and alignment, aiming to ensure that every organizational touchpoint resonates with customer needs. So let's give a warm Glassix Spotlight welcome to Olga Potaptseva. Olga, we're absolutely delighted to have you with us today.
Oh, hello, Ran. Hello, dear listeners. Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction and thank you for inviting me to this podcast. I'm really looking forward to the discussion.
It's our pleasure, Olga. So, Olga, before we jump into the mechanics of CX Harmony, could you share any fresh insights or recent ventures that you're particularly excited about? Anything, worth sharing with our listeners today?
Well, what makes me very excited about the state of CX industry right now is that it is moving towards practicality. It's all about keeping things real. And some people get discouraged and they say, oh, it's a transformation and jobs are at risk, and many CX professionals are uncertain about their careers. But I think it's a great opportunity for us to make an impact. And I see this with my clients. Consulting requests more and more come from people in marketing, omnichannel, IT, product. So all the areas that don't have CX in their job title, but they are clearly interested in making their processes, technology, and operations more customer centric, and that fills me with joy.
I love that, and I love that you mentioned the fact that CX is now cross departmental effort in a way that is more popular, and it always should have been, right? That is more popular among other professionals rather than head of customer experience, of chief customer experience, or all of those titles that are related to customer experience. That's beautiful.
Yes,
Um,
yes. I think there is more realization in businesses that CX is not entirely like one of your traditional disciplines, like finance or IT, when you dedicate a department and they do that. CX department may inform the business, it sets priorities, it is the voice of the customer within the business, but they can't do everything in the business. So you're right, it's everybody's job.
Yeah, and we love that here. So, for our listeners, today's episode called Harmonizing Business Success, Olga Potaptseva's Blueprint for Customer Centric Triumphs. So, Olga, I want to get started with obviously get your thoughts around that. So, with your profound expertise in driving customer centric harmony, could you share how your approach is actually integrating like processes, technology, and team attitudes to meet customer needs effectively when first engaging with a new organization? I mean, what is like your approach when you're meeting a new organization? How do you like mapping out the problems, or do you have like a framework or anything like that?
Sure. Let me address the first question first. What is a harmonious business? And then I can share a bit of a framework. So harmonious business isn't just about making customers happy. I just want to make it straight that customer centricity isn't doing everything and anything your customers could ever possibly want. It is also about running a profitable business. And the easiest metaphor that you can imagine is a symphony. So, in a symphony, every instrument, like processes and technology and your finance and people's attitudes, they have a tune, they have a job to do. But in an orchestra, there is a central tune. So all the instruments dial up or they dial down or they play together. Some of them pause sometimes to create a melody. And that way they play in perfect harmony. In our case, they play in perfect harmony to meet customer and business needs and also bring value to humans, customers, employees, and the society as a whole. It's not easy, of course, to harmonize everything in the business. And this is leading us to start answering your second question. How do we do it? Where do we start? I'm very practical and I like to keep things real, as I said, and I want companies to stay true to their values. So my first investigation is who is starting the customer centricity program, who is wanting to initiate change in the business, and why is it that they need it? The reason being is that we need to be realistic, right? If it's a customer experience manager, they have very little support, for example, from their stakeholders and their leadership. They need to prove to the rest of the organization that the projects they're suggesting are having a positive impact. So in that case, it makes sense to start small and really focus on proving the ROI. I've recently had a case where it was a head of omnichannel who wanted to start a customer centricity program. So instead of going full on transformation, let's reinvent the whole business, we said, well, okay, what can we do within omnichannel to make sure that it works in a customer-centric way, and then we have the right to talk to the rest of the organization. It could be the CEO. Sometimes I work with CEOs who come to me and say, I really believe we should be a customer-centric business, but I need the rest of the organization to follow. Then we can be talking about full enablement with processes and technology and people and culture change. So defining the scope is really important first step, because people need to feel safe to proceed with change and they need to be effective in their roles. The second step, oh, sorry, go on, sorry, Ryan.
No, no, I wanted to actually ask if you have any preference in terms of who is the decision maker that is contacting you in regards to start the transformation in their business. Do you prefer it's going to be the CEO? Do you prefer it's going to be the head of CX? Do you prefer it's going to be someone else? Or it's like different case for different organizations and it's not something that is, always stays the same?
If I have an opportunity to contribute to making businesses more harmonious, I will do it at every level. I love all of my clients. It's obviously easier when you have senior level buy-in, but I can't say this is my preference. It's, everyone has a role to play, and I'm happy to help.
Yeah, great.
Um, so going back to what is the next step, right? You've defined your scope, you know where your area of control and influence is. The second very useful step is to be clear why your organization exists. And that might sound like a very obvious question, but very often when I do these strategic sessions with senior leaders and middle management and then the rest of the organization, you would get 20 different answers depending on the point of view, depending on where people sit in the organization. So what is the value that your organization brings to the world? how are you helping lives? So beyond making money, what is your true and authentic belief, and how that is communicated within the organization? And if customer centricity is a corporate wallpaper role, don't go there. You will waste your resources on things that you don't truly want. So it is very, very important to find it within yourself. Why are you here? What are you doing? For example, I have a client in the pharma industry, and their mission for the whole organization is to deliver medication on time every time, because they work in emergency space. If they don't do this, people will actually die. Even though they don't work directly with patients, they work with healthcare professionals, they know their mission, they're saving lives. And that is a uniting factor for everybody. Does that make sense, Rand? Is that a good
Yes,
example?
yes, I actually love that example. And you kind of kept me wondering, um, what about other, like, first of all, I love your point about always be asking why we do what we do. I think it's a super crucial question. And, it's a responsibility of every leader within the organization to ask their teams, to ask their staff, to ask the employees, to ask everyone around them why we're doing what we're doing. What is the
Yeah.
purpose? What is our mission? So that's the first thing. And I love this point so much, which I think I'm going to adopt moving forward. um, Second is, um, I'm kind of wondering, like, so you gave this example about the healthcare organization or the healthcare company that must provide medication on time. And here's the value is very clear. I mean, well, their purpose, their mission, their everything is mission critical in this company. But then, how do you make it similar or at the very high level is the same as this example for other companies that are not, have to provide medication on time? Let's say you're dealing with a very large SaaS corporation or an insurance company, or anything that is not like mission critical as the example you provided. How do you make
Yeah.
this like being, in scarcity urging?
hmm Yeah, so not every organization is saving lives. I work, for instance, with a luxury retailer. So their services, their products are non-essential to people's survival, but their purpose in life is making people smile from head to toe. This is what they've defined as why they
Beautiful.
exist. It is very beautiful, isn't it? And that creates a particular mood in the company. You come to work to make people smile every day. This is nice. Um, Ritz Carlton, for instance, they say that our purpose is treating employees with respect and dignity and create work environment that motivates our employees to do their best for the company, for the customer.
And I love that example as well, because then this is basically where you're tying EX with CX, employee experience, with customer experience, and this is one of the best ways to do it. Totally agree.
Yeah, yeah. There are lots and lots of examples. We have, as you mentioned at the beginning, in addition to my consulting business, I've created a customer experience knowledge base, CXpanda, and one of our content verifiers for customer-centric culture comes from, and you'd be very amazed to hear this, from Dubai Police. And you think, well, Dubai Police, customer centricity, really? And that's, they've transformed police force to through servant leadership. They're there to serve the society and make it safe for law abiding citizens. And
Wow.
same in the UK, for example, the motto for the police is policing with a friendly face. So they're there obviously to punish the criminals, but the benefit is to the citizens who actually want to live a normal life.
This is a great example, and I think you brought in a fresh perspective about police forces enhancing CX. It's beautiful. Um, so, Olga, reflecting on your significant contributions to various sectors, as we already discussed, from insurance to luxury retail, how have you seen like customer experience principle evolves, particularly with the advent of digital transformation? Can you share like a case where integrating CX principles led to remarkable business outcomes? There's this always, I believe you have this one case that you're very proud of.
I have many cases that I'm very proud of, but yes, one case I'm particularly proud of is when my client won in International Customer Experience Awards a couple of years ago. They got bronze in two nominations, and International Customer Experience Awards is an incredibly competitive space because you have companies from all over the world. And what they've achieved was um, they let me give you a little bit of a story before I tell you what they've achieved. Is they said we really want to adopt CX principles for our organization. There are six key principles that I advocate, but I'll focus on the three. So they said we want our performance to be measured by delivering customer value. So how do we know that we are actually delivering value? We can guess and we can set ourselves whatever KPIs, but it always comes from the inside. We should probably think, what is it that our customers actually need and value? So I help them do customer needs research to establish the hierarchy of needs and the hierarchy of drivers. And they say, okay, we understand that speed and communication are the most important things for our customers. Now, we are going to measure that. And we're going to collaborate cross functionally so that everyone delivers speed and value. And of course, they had like more precise definitions for those. The second principle, they said, well, that it's not possible to do in an organization that is controlling everything. If every decision has to be escalated to the very top or several layers up, that's not helping our speed. Let's give the employees the authority and autonomy to make decisions that benefit customers. And mind you, that client is in a highly regulated industry. The risks are very significant. But we've managed to put in the framework that gives people safe guardrails so that they know it's okay to take decisions as long as they're within those boundaries. And the third principle they've adopted is innovation with the customer in mind. So the organization did have a customer-centric belief before we started. But what we discovered during the process is that it's at the expense of the employees. So the employees would go out of their way, reflecting badly on their health, on burnout rates. Employee engagement was very low at 30%, but they were really good people and they were trying. So what we said, it's important to innovate for their sake and customer sake. So customers say it's important to be good at communication. Let's introduce a platform that can remove some of the non-value add activities and enable our people to focus on speed and communication where it's really needed. So in a year, we removed, with help of technology, 3,000 non-value add hours from operations.
Wow.
72% of customers felt that this particular area of the business, operations, is always customer centric. And this is most impressive, that was up from 40% 2 years before. And employee engagement went up from 30% to 100%.
Wow.
Um,
These are like staggering numbers, honestly. And
yeah, yeah.
I think that like uh, when hearing those numbers and the transformations you've managed to lead within this organization, I'm wondering, like, there are probably a few steps. I think that first of all, the organization must take a decision and says, yes, we want to be customer centric. We want to lead by CX and innovation. But then it goes hand in hand with so many other factors, like the employee experience, like the customer experience, like the fact that you need to actually gather everyone around the company to understand that this is a mission critical situation where everyone needs to be aligned on the same goal. And obviously, I think that one of the best thing, and you probably doing that as well, and in your work with different clients, is that leaders should be asking a question of, even like, a junior role person within the organization, they should be asking everyone this question: how do you help the business make money? And I think that if an employee can explain that, um I think it's very powerful, and I think you make their day to day and their working environment to be much more productive and empowered.
Mm. The question I would suggest they ask themselves is, how do I help my company create value? So in money driven companies, this would be the right question: how do I help them make money? In value driven companies, we make the world better. In my role, what does that have to do with me? Do I understand? If we say we make our customers happier, how let's say I'm in finance, how do I contribute to that? Um, those are really, really important questions to ask. And in harmonious organizations, people have the answers, and we help them find those answers. It's all about technology, people, experience management, process, and leadership, crucially, working together.
Yeah. So, Olga, I'm curious about, customer expectations. We talk about customer experience, we talk about employee experience, but let's talk about customer expectations. We know that in today's digital realm, these expectations are ever rising. How do you leverage insights and feedback to continuously refine the customer experience? Can you, like, provide an example of a transformative initiative you led that significantly improved the customer satisfaction, or even, customer loyalty?
Mm. Sure. I think customer expectations are going in two seemingly confronting directions. One, they're saying we want more technology, ChatGPT makes our lives easier. We are happy to use the technology. But on the other hand, customers are saying we really miss human connections. And it's all very well to talk to bots, but sometimes I need a person, I need them to understand how I feel. And technology isn't quite there yet. And perhaps it will never be. We don't know. So it's very important to balance the empathy within the organization, the value that you bring to the society, and your technological capabilities, and understanding why are you introducing this technology. No, everybody's going crazy about AI at the moment, um, and businesses know it has some risks and it's got some benefits. But the really big question to ask yourself: what is this going to do for my customers? Where does it add or subtract value? So before introducing technology, it's all the same question, right? How will it help my customers, my employees, and my value proposition? Um, and you can use customer insights in many different ways. For example, I used to work for a European bank as a head of CX, and we identified that there is a business problem. People apply for a small business loan, but they don't, not enough of them go through to completion, even though we would have approved their loan. And we couldn't understand why, because the conditions were pretty good. So then we started looking at customer feedback, and they were saying, well, your decision making is too long. It's taking you 10 days. I'm not in a position, I'm in a faster moving business. I need a decision faster. So we then started looking at, why is it that our process is so slow? And by doing the process review, we discovered that we're doing 3 rounds of the same approval, basically. And it happens very often in organizations when we ask ourselves the question, well, what value is this adding to the customer? Why are we doing this? Nobody had an answer. It was just one of those legacy processes, and we did it because it was there. So by taking out 2 of the 3 unnecessary rounds, we reduced the loan approval process to 3 days and improved our conversion rates. We improved our call volume reduction, for instance. It went down by 60% because our sales associates didn't have to deal with, where's my loan? Well, are you still doing it? Questions anymore. And of course, customer satisfaction went up. So sometimes it has to do with technology, sometimes it doesn't. And before you introduce technology, as I said, ask yourself why, but also really look critically at the process that you're looking to automate, because you could end up in a situation where it's, rubbish in, rubbish out. We really don't want technology to do the same thing as the human does. We want it to be better and build on a good process.
Right. I think it's an interesting approach. And I do have a few points that I'd like to share about what you just shared. I think that if we look at technology, and I think that your point is very progressive in a way that you said that we want technology to do the things that human are not able to. So I'll actually present the contrary to that. I think that if we can, automate the mundane, and if we can, in many ways, just take off more things off the customer service or support agents' plates using automation, I think it's wonderful. So, things like, for example, we have that very unique feature that we allowed support agents or customer service agents, for that matter, to blend in a chatbot to a conversation that deemed to be repetitive. Here's what I mean. For
Mm-hmm.
example, you're interacting with a customer or potential prospect, right, for that matter, using your, I don't know, website live chat, right? um, and they want to get a hold of their claim policy. Let's say you work for an insurance company. um, and then the agent, in order to provide them with this information and to provide them access to the claim policy, they'll have to go through several procedures that are according to the company's policy. For example, identification process, or for example, asking them questions to make sure that they are the right person, right? That makes sense. um, so why should the support agent do that, waste their time for something that is mundane in many ways, rather than just blend in a bot that can do the verification process and any other processes that are aligned with the company, um, and then just save time. So
No, I agree with you. Just to clarify my point, and I think this is an amazing feature. What I'm saying is that, let's take the verification process. Clearly, no one likes participating in it, and but it must be done. However, if your verification process is, let's exaggerate, 200 steps, and you've always kept it like this because you're a critically risk averse insurance business. And then you say, okay, we don't want it to be a 30-minute conversation on the phone or in a chat. Let's give it to the bot. It's still not going to help the customer. They're still going to have to go through 200 steps. What you need to do before putting in this amazing technology is to say, do we actually need 200 steps? Maybe we can reduce it to 20. And once you've improved your process, then it makes absolute sense to delegate certain things to bot or other AI technology.
Yes, you totally took this a few steps forward. um, so, Olga, considering your vast experience and in the CX world, and the recent improvement and operational savings you achieved, can you discuss a particularly challenging project and how you navigate it? Like, leveraging customer insights and CX strategies, like literally turn the challenge into an opportunity.
The most challenging projects come when there is no real desire from the organization to have this winning customer purpose. Um, they've heard that customer centricity is a cool thing to do, and they say, okay, well, let's be customer centric, but they are resisting change with all their might, and they are clinging on to their bad profits. So we say it's bad profits when they are unfair, unearned, or unclear to the customer, because their real desire is to hit next quarter's financial targets. And it's really hard for the employees to be torn between this declaration of customer centric intent and the real purpose that the leadership is asking them to achieve. Um, so those initiatives usually start very well, and people are very excited to participate in CX strategy sessions, journey mapping sessions, prioritizing all the projects, and sometimes they even get to signing off the projects. But in such companies, the initiatives usually die down very fast because they don't care. And those are the types of projects that I find very challenging, because I like to add value. I like to see change. I like to enable individuals who make it all happen. And I really dislike seeing people suffer in this way.
Wow. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I'm not even sure how I would approach someone that is demotivated, or even beyond that, they just don't understand the precious value of delivering stellar CX. And yeah, it sounds like, honestly, a very tedious task. If I don't think it's even possible, but I think you know better.
Uh, it is to a certain extent, I agree with you. I work with companies who share my belief that customer centricity is important. And in my career, I've been leading CX in organizations. I know how hard it is when an organization doesn't listen, doesn't buy into it. It can take you years and years, and perhaps change in leadership before you can actually make things happen. And when we talk about value driven organizations, some people get discouraged and they say, well, I'm not in a leadership position. I don't define the values for my organization. I always encourage them to think, do the defined values align with you personally? Are you in the right place? And sometimes they say no and they move on.
Let's talk about the future.
Yes,
Um,
let's do it.
what emerging trends in customer experience do you believe will shape the way businesses operate? I mean, how should companies adapt to stay ahead in delivering exceptional customer centric experiences?
Yeah, I was trying to research in preparation to this conversation, and I went to our platform, CXpanda. And if that is allowed, I would like to give a gift to all of your listeners with a discount code if they'd like to
Yes,
use the platform.
yes, please do that. And to our listeners, I urge you to visit CXpanda for more CX insights.
So I'll answer your question, and then I'll tell the listeners how to do it. And the reason I wanted them to go and explore, because there's so many trends, and I started reading through them. But to me, they boil down into data, empathy, and value. So when we talk about data and how it helps CX specifically, Most organizations are sitting on mountains of data. They just don't have holistic data. So a big trend is that the data merge is going to become more powerful. Therefore, we will be able to look at predictive CX and make it more personalized and more precise. That will help us with data-driven decision making. So less guesswork, more statistics. And a very exciting trend is predictive voice of the customer. So for years and years, we relied on surveys, which is retrospective and not always very actionable. Now, with this emergence of technology and data, we will be able to put everything together, how the customer interacted with you, how many times they've complained, how many products they bought, are they due to renew their product soon, everything we know about them, and predict what their sentiment might be and take corrective action proactively.
Huge.
Huge.
Absolutely
It
huge.
is. It's going to transform how we think about it. Um, then, as I said, the second trend is empathy and emotional intelligence. Individuals and businesses need to develop this skill so that we don't lose the human element. Not every customer is the same. Not every customer will experience the same event in the same way. They will have different emotions and they will need a different response. So we have to be actively listening to our customers and responding accordingly. Again, technology can help us. There is natural language processing, there's voice enabled modeling. Now the Gen AI and large language models. So they can all help us digest information, but I think as humans, we're best equipped to make emotionally informed decisions.
That's beautiful.
And the third big trend is values, and we did talk about values a lot, but ethical practices and sustainability, social responsibility will become more and more important. They're already important, but they will feed into decision making more and more. And we see this in emergence of startups. I always talk about Tony's chocolates, for example. I don't know if you know this brand from the Netherlands. So their principle is that chocolate industry has to be fair, and they don't just talk about fairness; they make their supply chain and operations fair to every participant. And even though their chocolates are slightly more expensive, people buy them because they relate to those values. And I think this will determine business success in future more and more.
As a chocolate lover, I'm definitely gonna explore this brand you just mentioned. I love that
You should.
example so much.
Should. It's very nice.
Olga, now
Now
before
let me talk about the gift I promised, right?
yes, please do.
So if you visit cx-panda.com, go to pricing and then select an annual plan and enter a coupon in capital letters panda 10, you will get a 10% discount on an annual subscription. And with that, you have an intelligent search, AI powered bot, effectively like ChatGPT, but it only works with curated and reliable sources on our platform. And you can ask any CX related questions.
Beautiful. So once again, go to cxpanda.com, go to pricing, put in a coupon Panda 10, I believe it was,
Mhm. Yes,
and get a 10% off on your annual subscription. That's great.
correct. I
So
hope you enjoy it.
yeah, that I think is a beautiful gift. Olga, before I thank you very much for joining us, and obviously, I'd like to get your head around that. So it's a fun question. If you had a magic wand that could change one aspect of how businesses approach customer experience today, what would you change and why?
I would make all businesses value driven, and value driven businesses are those that make lives better.
Wow, very powerful one. Olga, um, I think like when you say value driven, um, is it the same as mission driven, or these are different aspects, in your opinion?
In my opinion, they're slightly different. Values come from your intrinsic motivation to make the world better. So, if you were to define your personal values and then build a business based on those, I think we would live in a much better world.
I couldn't agree more, actually.
I think most individuals are really good individuals and they're trying their best. So, if we all brought out the best in us and into the business environment, wouldn't that be amazing?
I agree. Olga, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. For our listeners, I urge you to visit CXpanda, get your coupon code. It's Panda10. And if you want to, explore more of the CX world, or need any advice in the world of CX, or just how to make your companies better in delivering that CX your customer crave for, I urge you to follow Olga on her LinkedIn profile. Olga, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, and thank you to the listeners. If you have a question or you want to have a chat, feel free to send me a message on LinkedIn. I'm always very happy to connect. Thank you for having me on today's podcast.
Our absolute pleasure.